Okay, so let's pivot for a minute and talk about something that maybe isn't really even SEC. I mean, we're going to tie it back to that because that's what we do, want to peek inside SEC football. But it was just announced this week that Penn State is hiring Ohio State's defensive coordinator. This is kind of wild, right? This is Ohio State, the current national champion. Their DC Knowles is headed to Penn State. The deal supposedly is, I want to say I read $3 million over 3 years, which I'm hoping that's $3 million per year. Because
Yeah, a little.
if they're only paying their defensive coordinator $1 million a year, I feel like we can find some people on Florida staff making $1 million a year, not actually even coaching. But like, this is some coaching chaos, right? This is pretty crazy that the reigning national champion just lost their defensive coordinator to a conference rival who also made the playoffs. And kudos for Penn State for swinging for the fences. I wonder if they were even surprised that their offer was accepted.
This is weird to me, right? Like we've talked about like ETN going to Georgia or this kid going to a rival or this doing that, the other. Like this is wild.
Yeah.
And they talk about, so much is made, and I've seen, Brooks Austin, who you've had on to preview the Georgia game. I've had him on different stuff, the film guy. He has kind of had some sarcastic tweets about like, oh man, like these coaches with their loyalty, because that's what everybody says, right? When players jump in the portal, these coaches will just follow like the money and stuff. And I don't want to make it all about money, but just the idea of going from Ohio State to Penn State.
Yeah.
If you compared it to something in the SEC, like, I don't even know, like, because Ohio State is such like the big brother of this rivalry. Like, to me, it's not even really the same as like Alabama, like somebody going from Alabama to Georgia, because Georgia's won 2 national titles recently.
Right.
Like, to me, it'd be like somebody going from the Alabama staff, and I'm talking like for a straight lateral move. I don't mean go, and Ryan Day's not like a defensive guy that's like calling the defensive plays. And so Knowles took over a defense where he could call the plays.
Sure.
We're talking about like if somebody was the OC at Bama going to be the OC at Tennessee. Actually, I guess DeBoer's more often. So like the DC at Bama going to be the DC at Tennessee. Like to me, that's the level that it would be. And that would be crazy. Like that is insane, right? Yeah. Like for you to go now, if Knowles would have taken the defensive coordinator job at Texas or UF or whatever, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's out of conference. Like, this is the team that Penn State cannot beat. Like, this is the team that they cannot get over that hump. And honestly, I don't even know what I'm struggling with things to even compare it to, because I don't know that we've ever seen something like this. This lateral of a move to a rival, again, that you're dominating. If you stepped up, if it went the other way, if Ohio State robbed Penn State.
National championship game, like, Ryan Day is at home sipping champagne, and all of a sudden he gets a text message. Oh, by the way, hey, well, you were celebrating. I just signed a contract. I'm out, buddy. Sorry. But, the number one defense overall, I believe, last year was Ohio State. Penn State, thought they needed help in that department. So they literally went to the guy that they needed help beating. If, can't beat them, join them. It is so interesting to me, and it does make you wonder if some of the rumors about Knowles' relationship with Ryan Day not being the best is...
It has to be part of it.
I think there's been some rumors that he was kind of on the outs with his D-line coach too. I think Coach Johnson is who that is. So like, there's got to be some truth there. It's just wild to think that there's trouble in paradise when you are the reigning national champion. This is not... Charlie Strong and Dan Mullen leaving to become head coaches when they were coordinators after winning a championship. Like, you expect your coordinators, if you are doing a good job, to take head coaching jobs elsewhere. Like, that's kind of expected when you start to win as much as you did. But this is, I don't know. Christian says Urban Meyer went to Ohio State after we beat him in the Natty, closest comparison. I don't even think that's a fair comparison, because first, Urban Meyer retired. There was a year in between that. Right. He did not know when he stepped down from the Florida job that Ohio State's job was going to open in a year, because that NCAA investigation wasn't going on at that point. And he's coached at Ohio State before. He has big ties there. He didn't leave Florida for Ohio State. He left Florida to get his life in order and then the Ohio State job opened up. So I feel like that is different than this. This is just, it's hard to think of a comparison, but I would think, Will Muschamp leaving and being, I know he's not even really the DC right now, but being the DC at Ole Miss, or Robinson is who's there. So T-Rob taking the coordinator job at Auburn while he's at Georgia. I mean, I don't know. He was at Auburn.
It's just such a step down.
If that's the case. T-Rob's been at Auburn. I don't know. It's hard to come up with a comparison, but this is weird.
It also feels like, and I know we don't do as much Penn State stuff here. We talked about them a little bit when they were in the playoff. It feels to me, and I'm not in any way projecting that they get there, but I think this is an all-in move by Penn State. Yeah. I think like they've got Drew Aller coming back, who I think is going to be
this close this year. This is
making it back.
The puzzle,
And so they've got Drew Aller coming back, who I think is going to be a top 5-ish quarterback in the NCAA. They have both their running backs coming back. They've got a really, really good defense who now has a great coach behind them, which I really like Tom Allen, who went to Clemson from Tampa, Florida. Shout out Tampa. But this feels like an all-in year for Penn State. And who knows, like you've got to get a little bit of a luck of the draw when you get seeded, and you got to stay healthy. You've got to take care of business. But their schedule sets up pretty well for them to get back. I mean, they go 10-2, they're in. Yeah. And so, they're probably going back to the playoff, and it feels like an all-in year for Penn State. Penn State, I'm not like super pro Penn State or anti-Penn. I don't really care, but it'd be cool to see somebody like that, like win a championship. Yeah. We all want to see our teams win, right? But it would be cool to kind of see, like, Ohio State wins every year. Georgia wins every year. Alabama wins every year. Like, I get it. It would be cool to see, like, Penn State would be a team that, like, you could root for. Yeah. If they made it. So we'll see. I think they're pretty all in. I spoke with some people at Penn State, and I haven't even done any content on this yet, but who kind of told me like, no, they think they can win it. They think they can go all in. And so that's what this move was. So I don't know. I mean, we talk about it, but like
hit on their head by stealing Ohio State's defensive coordinator. So they better be ready for the hellfire coming their way for sure.
If they, we talked about like if the Alabama DC went to, this year, I don't even know if Tennessee would want him. But if the Alabama DC went to a place like Tennessee or something like that, we say that's crazy. But if you got offered $3.5 million to do it, like you might say, screw this rivalry too, and just go do it. So,
well, it is never boring in the world of college football.